Hey sweeties, welcome back. Today we're having McDonald's and talking about how I came to the US. Today I got customized McChicken and McDouble, as well as a free large fry because I ordered an iced tea with hopefully 20 sugar packs in here. 20 sugar packs of Splenda, that is. So this meal, and especially this McChicken sandwich, is inspired by a YouTube channel called Steph Papas. And I was watching her eat it as a tribute to her father who passed away. It was actually pretty touching. Let me get my plate so I can cut my burger. I'm gonna start with the McChicken. Put my fries here. Actually, put it right there. I think I waited too long because the fries are getting soggy. So as you can see here, let's see. I maxed out everything I could on this McChicken because it was free. Okay, probably gonna go through a lot of napkins. I'm gonna cut it in half because I prefer to eat my burgers cut in half, so the chances of stuff falling off the back end is lessened. Plus, I can also hack it a little bit. All right, sweeties, have a good meal. I don't taste anything other than mayo or whatever this white sauce is. I typically don't eat burgers from McDonald's, only because, especially now with the increase in price, I'd rather spend that money going to In-N-Out if I'm gonna eat a burger. And then there's other places that have pretty good chicken sandwiches. But McDonald's is definitely one of those places that's convenient, right? It's almost like at every street corner. So I got an unsweetened tea, and I had to put 20 packets of Splenda in it. And now it's a diet sweet tea, which they used to have at McDonald's for a while. I used to go there just for their diet sweet tea. And then they took it off the menu. I guess not enough people liked it. Even though there's a lot of mayo, and it's supposed to be ketchup and mustard also, but I'm not tasting it. Seems very dry. Okay, for the second half, should I put Chick-fil-A sauce, barbecue sauce, or sriracha, or all three? I think I'm going to put Chick-fil-A sauce. Just to see how it's like on McDonald's. I don't think I've ever tried it on a McChicken sandwich before. But it's made for chickens, so why not, right? There it is. A lot of it too. Yee. So today, what I wanted to talk about was how I got here to the United States. So my parents and I immigrated to the United States way back in '75. And yeah, that's actually 50 years. Not to this date, but it's been over 50 years, slightly over 50 years. The story as it's been told to me, I've never really sat down with my parents and had them tell me the story from beginning to end. It's been pieces here and there. So, some of the details are foggy. I haven't asked them in a long time, which I probably should. But, I was so young at the time, so the story is mostly what they are telling me. And whether or not it's true, what parts are true and what parts aren't is up to the storyteller, I guess. Oh man, too much sauce. It's like spilling everywhere. So my parents told me that, at the time my father was a captain in the military. He was a captain in the construction battalion. So he never really saw any action, never shot anyone. At least he's never told me he did, or that he was shot at. He said that they would come in after a bridge fell or a building needed to be fixed or something, and they worked on it. So it's mostly in the background. And so on that day that we left, he was coming back from, or he was on leave coming back home. And he had a driver that was driving a Jeep for him. Chick-fil-A sauce actually makes it better, but I put way too much. So the story goes, his driver dropped him off at the front door, stayed with the Jeep. My father came into the house. Unbeknownst to him, my mom, his brother, who at the time I guess worked with the US government, and that's why he knew that Saigon was falling. So they grabbed my father, went out the back door, out to the airport, got into a military plane and flew. I'm not sure if they flew straight back to the US or if they stopped off somewhere, and I'm thinking they might have stopped off somewhere. Don't remember where, but it wasn't for very long. Not like some of the families that you'll hear that come to the US and they go to like refugee camps in another country, or sometimes even within the US. my parents were not prepared to leave, so they didn't come with anything. I mean, literally, my father had the shirt on his back, the pants he was wearing, and about 20 US, the equivalent of 20 US dollars in his pocket. My mom didn't come with much either. We didn't have a lot, we didn't have any clothes really other than what we were wearing. And the money that was in their pocket. I think we have a couple photos from when we were little, and that was it. And so we flew to the US, landed at Travis Air Force Base up in Northern California. That's a lot of sauce. Would you like a burger with your sauce? Supposedly there's a newspaper article or magazine that took a picture of us coming off the plane as the first wave of refugees coming to the United States. And that's how my mom's older brother found us. He ended up in another state at a refugee camp, and he saw the article, saw that we were in California, and he came over looking for us. No, and back then, in the 70s, there's no internet. I don't know how he found us, but somehow he did. I should ask him too. Anyways, my parents told me they got off the plane and they didn't know where they're going. I mean, literally, they went on the plane to come to the United States and they had no plans other than to get on the plane and get out of there before the country fell, or the South Vietnamese government fell. Ooh, this one's even saucier. Look at that. Yikes. And the 2 patties. And it has like the 2 pickles stacked on top of each other. Ooh, this is gonna be a messy burger. Let me fix the pickles. Oh, they gave me 4 pickles. Spread them out, because as much as I like pickles, I don't like to eat them all in one bite. Oh no, they gave me more than 4. Oh no, that's just folded over. So they gave me 5 pickles. Cool. Five pickles. I'm not gonna hack it yet. Let's just cut it in half. So my parents sat at the airport with their family because a lot of my father's side of the family came over on that plane with us. So my grandparents, his parents, were there. His brother, his sisters, and her family, children. And they didn't know where they're going. So I guess this is the greatness of the United States, right? Is that I guess people heard that there were refugees coming from Vietnam, maybe stranded at the airport or whatnot. I'm not sure how long we were there. But they reached out. They took us in. So my grandparents, my dad's oldest sister and brother, and one other brother went up to Washington State. And I'm not sure how it went, like whether or not there was enough, like that's the only amount of people that they could take, or if my father just decided he didn't want to go to Washington State, but we ended up staying here with his younger siblings. And we found a very sweet, very nice family down in Carmel by the sea, or Carmel, that took us in, and they were really rich family. I remember, even at that young age, I remember driving up to their mansion, right, which was on a golf course, on a cliff overlooking the ocean. And I remember the long drive coming through the gates from the street into their house, and they had one of those fountains or garden areas in a little roundabout. Things that you would see like in those movies. And I don't remember much about the house other than the one room where we were in. And mostly it was just my sister and I crying most of the time for my mom. She was helping out at the house, kind of like a house servant, maid, whatever, for the short period of time we were there. So my dad, they found him a job at the Carmel Plaza as a janitor. So can you imagine, just days or weeks before, he was a captain of a construction company with hundreds of soldiers under his command. And now he's a janitor, cleaning toilets and sweeping the floor in a foreign country where he doesn't speak the language, if anything, very little of the language. My father, he's a proud man, so he would never let you know if he's hurt, sick, or whatnot. And so at the time, we never knew anything that was going on. But years later, he would tell us that, during that time, there was a lot of maybe racism, if that's the correct word, because the Vietnam War was not a very popular war in the United States. Which something funny is, in Vietnam, I hear it's not called the Vietnam War because, of course, it's in Vietnam. They call it the American War. And for those that don't know, Monterey at the time was a big military town. Not just Monterey, but like the surrounding cities. Back then, Fort Ord was in full swing. There's a huge army base out there. They also had the Naval Postgraduate School that was in Monterey. And the Language Institute for the military was out there. I remember we would have like some of those soldiers come to our house and hang out with my father. And these were Caucasian young men, and they were speaking perfect, fluent Vietnamese, even better than what I can speak. And I remember asking my parents, how is it that they can speak our language? And my parents would say, oh, because they spent time over there and because they were from the Language Institute. I guess they were teaching soldiers back then. Okay, I'm gonna try some Sweet Baby Ray's on here because I don't have Kinder's, which is my favorite barbecue sauce. Only because I haven't found the one I really like. I think it's called Extra Spicy, but I haven't seen that lately in the stores. I'm gonna put a little bit less because last time I was oozing everywhere. Eesh, look at that. Yeah, so back in the 70s, I don't know if welfare was around at the time. My parents, if they had it, didn't know about it. So they had to go work for the money. My mom worked as a waitress at a restaurant, Chinese restaurant. So my father worked at the Carmel Plaza. And then after that, he went and worked at some place that did carvings, like wood carvings of tables and statues and stuff. When I was in Monterey, I went to kindergarten. And they flunked me because I couldn't, well, first of all, I was super shy. And then secondly, I didn't speak the language, if very little, if at all, right? Only from what I heard from watching TV and stuff. I remember back then I used to love, on Channel 2, there used to be like a bulldog. I forgot what the other animal was. Maybe a squirrel? Beaver, maybe? Maybe another type of dog, I don't remember. Maybe a cat. Anyways, they used to show Ultraman, and I really liked that show. And somehow, I don't know how I knew what time it started, but I always managed to get home to watch it. So the teacher flunked me. I remember she said I couldn't say some letter in the alphabet that I couldn't pronounce, and that's why she was flunking me. And because, of course, I was shy, so she said she didn't know if I can talk or not. And the funny thing is, I remember her saying that, so I must have understood enough to at least understand that I was being held back. I don't think I went back the following year, because the next thing I remember was being in the Bay Area for kindergarten. Man, I still have a lot of fries. It's not crispy anymore, so not looking forward to eating it. I really like Monterey. It's always held a very special place in my heart. And I don't know why. When we were younger, my parents used to take us down there, like maybe once a year. And then prior to COVID, we would go like maybe a couple times a year. Now I live much further away, so it's harder to get down there. But I'll make another video sometime, I guess, talking about Monterey and the impact it had on me in my life. I think if I air fry these, they might get better. I have hot mustard. Let's dip it in hot mustard. Going back to sponsor families. You know, these wealthy families, you know, could probably just donate their money and not bring people into their homes, into their lives, you know, interacting with their families. But this family did, and you know, my parents kept in touch with them all the way up until they passed away. And they had a son who would come visit us even after we left Monterey for many years. And then I think when I was in my 20s, he came one last time and then he was gone. My dad had suspected that he worked for the government. Maybe that's why their parents, you know, knew that we were there or that there were refugees that needed help, and they reached out to help us. But you know, they're just one of maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of families that did the same thing. And maybe some of the other families weren't as rich as them, you know. My parents used to talk about the fear that they felt coming to the US, coming to a land that, you know, they didn't know much about other than seeing the soldiers, you know, in Vietnam. But some of them didn't want to be there either, you know, so maybe they only saw the dark side of what the US was until we came here. So we didn't have welfare, and the only thing that my parents could do was go to work to get money. And you know, we couldn't afford fancy clothes or clothes in general, really. So we got a lot of hand-me-downs from the church. When we did get new stuff, it was from Kmart. Their blue light specials. My mom loved that store. Actually, I have a really cool story about Kmart also that I'll say in a different video. I'm not gonna finish these fries. They taste gross. I don't want to take the time to air fry them. So I'll probably leave it for the girls. And that's it. I hope you had a good meal. Thanks for joining me today. I know I'm scattered all over the place. I will get better at this YouTube thing. Actually, this is the second video I did, and I had to eat the exact same thing last week, and I'm not very happy about it because it wasn't that good. And I'm thinking, instead of rating it like with a number, I'm gonna do like a different type of rating where I'll say, you know, this is similar to the Michelin stars maybe, where I say, this is worth traveling out of my way to get this to eat, which McDonald's is not, right? Let's make that clear. This meal is something I just did, you know, because of that Steph Papa's YouTube channel. And it was her dad's favorite meal, I think, the McChicken. I think it's this McChicken sandwich. I'm not sure. This is, because they said it used to be cheap, and this used to be, well, it is on their cheap menu. I forgot what they call that cheap menu. But it's like $3 something now. Not, it used to be maybe $1. Or maybe it's 2 something, and if you buy 2, it's $1 each. 2 for $2. But now I think the McDouble was like 4 something, and the McChicken was 3 something, and you get the second one for $1. So I don't know which one they gave me for $1. I got one of them for $1, and I got these fries for free, and these fries were like what, 4 something. But I heard that McDonald's is going to be lowering the prices of combos soon. I don't know how soon that is and which combos, but I guess they got to do something. They're losing money, I heard. Not just them, but a lot of the fast food. I mean, I'm not sure where you're from in the world and you're watching this. Fast food employees in California, I think, make a minimum of $20 an hour. That being said, the cost of living in California is outrageous. So 20 bucks an hour really isn't getting you a lot. All right, anyways, scatterbrain again. It's my ADHD, undiagnosed. I self-diagnosed myself through the help of Facebook ads. I took a test. It says, take this test to see if you have adult onset ADHD. Or adult ADHD. And it said I did. I was extreme. So that's part of why I'm always scatterbrained and not able to concentrate. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you again soon. Take care.